Alrighty, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Big Footy Tigercast for Monday night. Hope you're all doing very, very well and had a good weekend. Yes, unfortunately, we're not on tonight with a win under the belt, but that's, I suppose, been part from the course. But welcome to everybody from wherever you're listening to. Shout out to, is it David? I think as well. He mentioned on Twitter that he just had his hip replaced. David Mills, there you are, on the top there. Hope the operation went well with the hip replacement. Good luck with all the recovery, and glad that we can fill in some time for you this evening. Which is good. Speedy recovery, absolutely. If I tell you, ticket for me. Oh, there you go. Just put it there. No, all the best with that, mate. Hopefully, it all goes very well for you. So, obviously, it's just on the Facebook and on YouTube tonight. So we're still having issues with getting it through onto Twitter due to Elon Musk demanding money now. So we will keep working on that, but we appreciate everybody joining from whatever platform you're on. Make sure you give it a like and a share. Helps get the word out there as well, which is always super helpful. Could possibly be solo again tonight. Tiggs had a change or has been put onto a new type. I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. Apologies to him in advance if he didn't want me to. But he's been put onto just an updated medication, and it's just kind of hit him for six a little bit in the first few days while his body adjusts, so he's not feeling up to it tonight. Grok hasn't seen the message for 6 hours, so I'm not sure. He could be on uncle duties for all we know. He could be on uncle duties. And CB is busy. He might join us later, CB. But otherwise, I'm happy just to roll solo again and just answer questions and talk about the game in bits and pieces. So you could all just be stuck with me. But before we get into, I suppose, before we won't get into the Richmond and Port Adelaide game straight away. So I saw James comment in Soviet Russia, Tigercast doesn't pay. X pays Tigercast. Very good. That would be handy. That would be nice. What did everyone think of the fan survey result that came out from the AFL Fans Association? I'll just bring it up on my phone quickly to refer to it because I know CB did tag us all in it. It was just interesting. Basically, I suppose the crux of it is we constantly hear the AFL come out and say that they've heard from several clubs that they like the idea of a wildcard series, but they don't name the clubs, or they've heard from supporters that they like the idea of a wildcard series, but no one I've ever seen or know has really gotten behind it. Every bit of social media I read is all against it. So I just kind of question the integrity of some of their comments about where they try and say that fans are saying the game's, in the best spot it's been in, and it's all on the AFL side. I just don't know. I just don't know if I believe the validation of what they're trying to put across to us. So, what does everyone else think? Did everyone else see the survey? I'm just reading at it now. So the main issue, so the fans' comments on what is affecting their enjoyment of the game. Umpire rule changes 22%, affordability 14%, gambling 11%, scheduling and floating fixture 10%, other 43%, whatever that might be. Please select all the issues that concern you as an AFL fan. 56%. 56% umpiring, but the game is in the best state it's been in, Andrew Dillon. Gambling 52%. I personally don't notice it too much, but I might actually start noticing that a bit more, the gambling stuff. Affordability, 50%, and scheduled floating fixture, 47%. It's, I don't know. I just think it's kind of hard to swallow when they keep putting forward that all of their data and research shows that it's going well, where we, the fans, there's 100 of us in here tonight at the moment, and I'm struggling to see anyone that's actually agreed with anything that they've put forward, if that makes sense. But yeah, the survey's always had the same result. Yeah, I know. It's interesting point, RFC, if you reckon that she'll be out of a job in 6 months. Did anyone see, I haven't personally seen it myself yet, I've kind of seen bits and pieces written, but did anyone see the exchange between Mick Malthouse and Laura Kane? Was anyone across that? And also, I want to give a big thank you to everyone who tuned into the live call on Saturday night as well. Obviously, it's the first one and only one we've done for the year. So it's always difficult when it's in a game that, we were close for 3/4, which was good. But hopefully they provided some type of entertainment for everyone who tuned in. So I appreciate the love and support there. There's a lot of good comments, which was good. The anonymous sources close to the bullshit. AFL thirst for their own blood water, Tiger Pop. I like it. I like it. Now, Nick, this is an interesting point too. Stats also came out today of the round 19 free kick differential. It won't be any surprise to any of you that we are stone cold dead last on minus 75. I think second last is GWS on negative 54, I think it was. So, I mean, it's still 20 odd different. Like, we'd still take their number ahead of what we've currently got. And I think the Gold Coast were on something like plus 68 or something ridiculous like that. It just fed on. This isn't an umpiring bashing session, so please don't take it that way. But it just adds weight to the theory that we've sort of, all fought for a few years now, and the data suggests that something's a bit of a miss, and it wasn't that, and it's not our game style, because Dimmer's taken that over to the Gold Coast Suns, and they are doing just fine on that front. Malthouse tore a new one, so we should. Yeah, it's also the fact, Jones. It's also the fact that she seemingly laughs a lot of this stuff off as well. Like, it's almost like she's not taking the concern seriously, whether it's raised from, general public, or whether it's raised from media people in interviews. It just kind of gets laughed off and brushed to one side as if it's nothing, treating us like idiots, which is probably the more annoying part as well. A lot of love in here for the live call. Appreciate that, guys and girls. Thank you so much for tuning into that. The Dustin Martin saga, and if CV were on, and if he jumps on later, I'm sure he's going to say the same thing. But we've got one of the closest seasons in history where, fourth spot, third spot still up for grabs for the teams that are eighth and even ninth. And the top story is, why was Dusty in New Zealand? It's just getting a bit out of hand. Now, there was it Tom Morris or someone said that they it was Kane Corns was wondering, why has he gone to New Zealand for family reasons, this, that, and the other. And you know what? If he's gone to New Zealand for family reasons, it's truthfully none of our business. And as a club, we've always had that kind of agreement with him that, when there's downtime, if he's injured, if whatever's happening, that free to go home to New Zealand to see the family. And I dare say that would be the same with all of our players. So I just can't understand that in a year where we've got so much good stuff happening in AFL in terms of results and upcoming games and how much they all mean, why we're still fixated on the movements of Dusty. It's just really bizarre. And David, you're right, mate. Yze's comment post game was bang on. We don't care what other people say, and it's frankly none of their business. That's right, Julie. Wasn't he? He's got a direct line to Dusty. So apparently claiming that Dusty's not buying into Yze's coaching style yet, which is interesting given that Dusty doesn't really talk to anybody. So for Tom to apparently know that is quite an extraordinary claim. But there we go. Sam McClure went bang again tonight. Reckons he's spoken to around 20 people close to the situation, and he knows he's gone to the Suns as gospel. I mean, it was only a couple of weeks ago that he was shit-canning the Ox, saying, "Oh, no, you can't say that. I'm not going to go that far and say that he's gone." 2 weeks later, speaks to 20 people, reckons he's gone. It just shows how much crap they speak about. He doesn't give them anything anyway. Piastri winning the Grand Prix, his first Grand Prix as a Tiger supporter. Very, very cool. I actually missed it last night, but that is very cool to see him win that. But what does everyone think? I've had a few people ask me my thoughts on Yze's post-game press conferences, so I'm keen to hear what you guys all think. Are you happy with how he goes about it? I mean, early days, and maybe it's because of how the season's panned out, but it kind of feels like he has gone on a bit of the softer approach when speaking to the media. Obviously, what happens behind closed doors is probably vastly different. I think there's been a couple of players actually on record say that, no, he gives a pretty good spray and hits you between the eyes when it's needed, which is good. It's what you want to hear. But has anyone got any thoughts on? It's so hard. Like the press conferences, they're kind of all trained to within an inch of their life, aren't they? But has anyone got any thoughts on how he's handling those? Catch up every week. This is the first live. Love the podcast. Oh, very good, Corey. Welcome to the first live. Is Tiggs of the same opinion given his record In terms of Yze, Tiger Pop, so Tiggs is, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, he's still definitely on record as saying that it's 2025-26, assuming that we don't have all these injuries again, that is when you can really start to judge Yze. I truthfully don't think that you can judge Yze off this year. There's been too much instability that's out of his control, that plays too much of a factor. I think it would be severely unfair to judge him harshly. What's he supposed to say? And that's the thing. There's only so many times you can whack him. That's right, Tom. But yeah, he's probably copying the same questions week in, week out. But I don't mind if he's showing a bit of support towards the players publicly, as long as he's doing what he has to do behind closed doors. I think to be fair, most coaches' press conferences are one and the same. I mean, the only one that's been out of the box has been Dimmers when he dropped the F-bomb. That's probably about it. So thank you to everyone who's liked and shared the show as well. Just Tony McGinnon's giving me an angry face. What's up there, Tony? What are you angry about? Media going. Yeah, that's right. Now the media going with Dustin not dealing with Yze. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, we'll take a look at the game against Port. Port Adelaide unfortunately knocked us off by 41 points, 16-20, 116 to 11-9-75. I don't know about everyone else, but it didn't actually feel like a 41-point margin at the end of it. I know that sounds a little bit silly. And maybe I was a little bit, I don't want to say blinded, but maybe I wasn't paying as much attention to the scoreline because we're doing the live call as well. But it just didn't feel like it was, a big of a blowout. Maybe because we hung with them for 3 quarters. No, I think that was the more impressive part. Pardon me, was that for 3 quarters we were very much thereabouts, and Hinkley had to give their midfielder an almighty rev up to get them back on track. But looking at the goal kickers, we had Mansell with 3. He played a really good game, Ryan Mansell. What did everyone think of him? I thought he played a very, very good small forwards game. Kicked a ripper goal. That one where he burnt Radigalia and dribbled in was very, very good. 3 goals, 12 disposals, 7 marks, 1 tackle, but his pressure was probably higher than that, I reckon. Dan Rioli, 2 goals. I thought he had a very good game, 4 tackles. Dion Prestia, 1 goal. Camden McIntosh, 1 goal. Jacob Gazitzi, 1. Steely Green, 1. Seth Campbell and Shea Bolton, a goal. Fair enough, Tony. All good. Understand, mate. Understand. Love your support. Mansell was exquisite. I like that. Aaron loved Mansell's work as well. Great player, Mansell. Mansell was eye-catching. He was good. He was good. And I think he applied the pressure for, I suppose, almost 4 quarters. And I'm actually really keen to see how Ryan Mansell goes with Morris Jr. up front. I think they're going to be the prime forward pressure pair that will hopefully get us back to somewhere, in some decent numbers of 450 tackles and things like that. I really enjoyed his game. Who else had a okay game? I thought Hugo Rollsmith was good again early. I thought he did okay. There's probably one that stands out for being bad, and I don't like highlighting the players who are having absolute nightmares, but Nathan Broad and Jacko, I'm with you here. Nathan Broad unfortunately had an absolute shocker on Saturday night. It just wasn't his night. I'm not sure if it was the back line in totality had a bad night, because I thought they did okay for large parts, but Broady in particular, it just wasn't working for him. What did everyone think of Broady's game? Any thoughts on him? Tony loved Mansell. Good signs. Lots of good signs. Says David, we come to bits with our speed. And it's funny you say that, David, because as we said on the live call, that every time the ball, when they kicked to behind, 9.5 times out of 10, we would always go short kick to the pocket, to the right pocket, and then long kick down the line. And they would often turn it over and get a repeat entry. The times we actually mixed it up and went out the other side and used our pace, we looked good. And the same in general play. When we'd mark the ball defensive 50, we never really have anyone now lining up for a switch across the ground. It's always everyone just floods to one side of the ground. So it's very predictable. But the times where we actually did like a 45-degree kick inside the corridor to open the game up, we looked really, really good. And they're risky kicks, but you've got to have high risk for high reward sometimes. And I think it just teaches good habits to take those risky kicks. Like I would much rather take that risky kick into the middle and maybe turn it over, and we might concede a goal from it, but at least we've tried something aggressive to score ourselves. Because the times that we did it, we actually pulled it off and looked really, really good. So I was actually quite happy with that. RFC centre Morris and Mansell coming back in will allow Steely, Green and Seth to be more dangerous around the sticks. That's a good call. Warren Miller says Rioli was our best. 2 goals from him was pretty good as well. I really liked 2 goals from Dan Rioli. Funky was good, says Julie. Broad's game was costly. Yeah, Broady, look, you know what? Even though Broady had a shocker, I think if we sort of step back and look at the defence as a whole for the course of the year, it's honestly been one of the strongest parts of our ground. And he's got a fair few credits in the bank. So it's sometimes players have dirty nights. You can't be up and about every week of every season. But yeah, he didn't have a good one. Yeah, I kind of agree, Greg. When Charlie Dixon kicks 4, you know it's a bit of a howler. I didn't see Broad during the game. Nank injury could get ugly for us. That's a good call, Ratbag. Now, I didn't actually see what happened with the injury. So to sort of fire up the social media the next day and see that he was in concussion protocol was a little bit of a surprise. Did anyone see what actually happened? Did he actually hit his head hard on the ground, or was it a collision? Like, what actually happened? But that's going to be a big out. Green and Smith showed a bit, Steve. Agree. Very good to see them get some bulk minutes as well. So I think having players like that as sub, I don't think serves too much of a purpose at this point in time. We're better off just getting full-blown games into them and seeing what they can do. And look, they might be gassed by the last quarter, and it is what it is. It's, you've got to expect that inside those first 50 games while they're building a tank. But we've got to see what they've got as well. Predictability, yeah. So that's not a bad point. About predictability needs to be something that's, in some cases, it is necessary that you do want to be predictable, but you want to be predictable to yourself. The problem is that if all of us regular punters at home can see where the ball's going with the next kick when watching us play, then imagine the level of information the opposition analysis have got that they put up against us each week when we're that obvious. Our kick-out structure was painful to watch. I don't know who's in charge of it, but yeah, if you're going to go to the pocket, if that's by instruction, I think they're just going to try and change it, because everyone in the comp knows exactly what's happening at any given time. Good one from Nick here with Brown playing half forward. What did everyone think about Brown playing in the half forward line? Bit of a different move. I didn't mind it. I know there's probably going to be a lot of arguments about leaving Brown in the defensive half because he's done a lot of his good work there, and I don't necessarily agree. I disagree with that. I also think that Brown's got some very good weapons that we can utilise in the front half. So not a bad overhead mark, very, very good kick of the ball. So him kicking the ball to our forwards, inside 50 isn't the worst thing to have happen, but I do also acknowledge that he has done some pretty good work down back, and we don't want to confuse him either. Brown forward, Jones Racing, Brown forward allows Trezise to play back so we can have a look at him. Christian prefers Brown down back, but want to show more hunger and desperation. Mark likes Brown up forward. He can take a leap. Nothing wrong with trying, says Jacko. Agree. David Mills, yes, we seem to be trying to limit turnover, presumably because I dare say that is correct. Enzo, Brown to the wing would be a better option. That's not a bad call either. I've got no doubt that could be something that gets rolled out at some point as well, maybe as part of a rotation potentially. Julie says we need to have players that can be switched forward and back. That adds unpredictability. It's true. It's like if you've got players who can rotate the different spots, it's a good way to lose a tag and to free up space and to get maybe an extra number forward of the ball. I think it's definitely important. RFC Centre actually liked it. He flew well and as a laser by foot, so kicking inside 50 more often can only be a good thing. Makes room for Josiah and Smith. I think it's a multi-pronged win, isn't it? We've maybe got someone with a bit more forward skill and craft inside 50 delivering the ball. And then you get a look at Trezise and Smith, who, and like Trezise, I feel so bad for him because he's had a very interrupted run at it when playing at senior level. So hopefully he can get a good run of 4 or 5 games in towards the end here, and we can actually, see what he's all about. Any more news on Bauer? Nothing other than I'm pretty sure he kicked, was it 1 or 2 goals again in the VFL? I'm pretty sure he's kicked 5 goals in the last 2 games or something like that. So, look, I wouldn't mind seeing, as long as he's match fit, I dare say we'd probably see him in the next couple of weeks, wouldn't we? If he's kicking goals in the games. So I think that should be a bit of a no-brainer. I think if he didn't have an injury interrupted season, he would have been seen earlier, to be honest. But we've also got to make sure that he's absolutely fit and he's not just 75% fit, so we don't risk injuring him. But yeah, I'm more than happy for Bauer to come in. Who for, though? Who would Bauer come in for? What's everyone thinking there? Jayden Shorts is another one that people are bringing up. Yeah, bring up David's comment there. It's been discussed. What's up with Shorty? I don't know. He just hasn't had a good year, has he? I don't know whether it's confidence. We mentioned on the live call that potentially maybe that he's having to play through some niggles and injury worries because of necessity, because we've got no one else to bring back in. And I don't want that to be seen as making an excuse. It's just a possible option, that's all. But his kicking has not been great this year. And Jacko, I did see your comment before, mate, and I agree with you that I wouldn't be against putting Short in a different role for the last few games. I know we know he's played midfield minutes before in previous years. I wouldn't mind seeing him do that again. Play him on a wing, play him at half forward, just add some variety to his game. Try and give him back the enjoyment factor, mix his role up a little bit. He just seems to be in a bit of a funk at the moment, and I just think that by mixing it up, that maybe we can sort of get him into a bit of a better headspace about his own football before putting him back. But what's everyone's thoughts on Shaw? I know I don't want to hear about trade him. I want to hear about what's his solution for him within the team. Where would people like to see him play? Do you want to persist in the back line? Do you chuck him around a bit? What does everyone think? Doesn't defend good enough, says Hunt. Short, unrecognisable at times. His kicking used to be game-breaking. That's a very good point. Short carried a calf injury for most of the season. He doesn't have the kicking power. Yeah, he's lost that depth, hasn't he? David says try Short on a wing. I'm all for that as well. Ladder position contracts could be a distraction. Baker has certainly been affected. That's a good call as well, Nick. Play him the VFL for a rev up. I appreciate that, Damien. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Bolter and Cozzy to ruck Bauer for Ryan. Changing roles in abundance for Rioli. Try with Short. I'm with you, Hawkeye, Lady Hawkeye. What have you got to lose? Like, obviously the season's done. We may as well try and get something out of him and re-energize him somehow. We might find something, And again, pardon me, again, by doing that, it's giving Trezise, Smith, players like that another crack at it and maybe some more meaningful roles within the game, which can't be a bad thing either. The backline quality is still not too bad, though, isn't it, Tiger Pop? I know we didn't have Loston the other day, but the backline's actually been our most stable part of the ground. So that's probably where it's a little bit more alarming that he's not having a good year in the strongest part of our ground that we've had for the entire season. He can have a good long kick, put Short at half forward. The last kick, I'm kind of with you there, Mark, that similar to Brown. I mean, I know Brown's kicking better than Short at the moment, but typically Short's got a bit of a laser kick or a very long kick. So if he gets it 65 metres, there's actually nothing stopping him from having a dip and trying to kick a goal. We know he's got reasonable accuracy when he's looped around for a cheeky handball every now and then. So why not? Why not try it? Nothing to lose. Play Short. He plays off half forward. Play the old Lambert role. True. That could happen as well. Get the goals from outside 50. Yeah, I agree, Jacko. Tom says try him on a wing. Why not? It doesn't hurt. Roll the dice. Oh, that's a good question, Eric. How was that contact below the knees miss? And I don't think it would have changed the outcome of the game because Port were storming home in the last quarter. But the guy clearly had his legs taken out. And I think we screamed it at the time in the live call, but No luck. No luck at all. I think that could be right, Ghost. I wouldn't be shocked if it came out that Short's been carrying something for a long time. I wouldn't be shocked. Um, what was that? Oh, the other one we didn't get that 50-metre penalty when the Port player booted it 45 metres after the free kick was paid. 24 hours later, North Melbourne get done for 50 in the last quarter when they're trying to win the game against Carlton for the same thing. Amazing. I had that pushing the back loaner against on against Bolter. That was quite frustrating as well. I saw your comments, Kano. What was your drink of choice there, Kane? But look, the young kids did an okay job. I thought that the game against Port, as silly as it might sound, I really do think that was one of our better games for the year. Even though I know we lost by 41 points, it was on the back of one quarter. And Port are a good side. I know they've had their ups and downs, but they're a fully fit, reasonably good side. And I thought that our young kids were the most impressive, and it was unfortunately the older guys that probably let us down later in the game, which was a little bit frustrating. Did Presty get a contract? I'm not sure. Did he? Is he meant to be getting one, Nick? I'm not too sure. Where's Thompson Dow? Look, I'm on record as saying I don't mind Dow and what he's offered to the team. He's been asked to play in a role that he shouldn't be playing in, as in a lot of the year he was the number one midfielder or number two, when reality is he's number three or number four. So he's done a reasonable job in a role that's not made for him based on attributes and output and skill level and things like that. But when we start getting the full midfield brigade back, what does that mean for him? It means he's got to dig deep and fight for his spot because, you got Prestia, Hopper, Taranto will be back. Players like that, even Jack Ross, he's still going to come back in maybe at some point this year, who I think is ahead of Thompson Dow. So, he's going to have to work hard to maintain his spot when all those guys are back. But the job he had to play, or he had to do while they've all been out, I don't think you could ask for much more, to be honest. Run covering some talent this season. Yeah, exactly right, 300. And the silver lining to all of this, it's a bit of a cliche, is that they always talk about you got to try and get the young kids to 50 games as quick as possible. And we're doing that. Not so much by choice, but it's happening one way or another. And it lets you know a lot about the young kids and where they're at. And then hopefully we can start to filter in, some more experience next year and get a bit more balance back into our side. Oh, you reckon that would be interesting? Port not making the 8? That would be very interesting. David reckons Presty will sign a 1-year extension. I wouldn't be mad with that at all, David. I actually wouldn't mind that. I know his body holding up's the big question mark. I get it. But you could see the impact and the difference he made to the side in the first 2.5, 3 quarters. We're definitely still a better side for having him out there. He obviously got that first goal as well. So that's not a bad thing. Even from a teaching point, if he's helping the younger kids come through, even that is not the worst thing at all. I didn't know Liam Bakey's before yet. I didn't know that. What else we got? I'm reading through some questions. Assistant coaches. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think this is just my view, but I think I do think Rutten and Teague have to go, and that's no disrespect to them because I'm appreciative of the work they have done for us under Dimmer. I just don't think it's working under Yze. Don't think it's not. From all the bits and pieces you sort of hear around the traps, that it kind of feels like maybe early days, maybe not so much now, but that they were kind of going a little bit over the top of Yze and putting their own twist on things. I kind of think that some of those more senior assistants may have caused some confusion. Amongst the playing group, because it's very obvious that a lot of players don't really quite know the ball movement we're meant to do, even their role on a week-to-week basis. I just think there's a bit of confusion, and I think it all starts from the coach's box, unfortunately. But look, I love the service they gave to us, but realistically, when a new coach is appointed, you need to bring in your own assistants. So Yze brought in Chris Newman and Jack Siebel, obviously. And I think there's still those two spots of Rutten and Teagues that he has to replace as people of his own. And Teague and Rutten were only still there this year because they were still contracted under the Dimmer regime. So you can't get rid of him because of the soft cap stuff. But I think he does need to get a full suite of his own assistants before we can start start judging stuff. Who would everyone like to see brought in? If you had to pick some assistants out, I know someone put Troy Chaplin before. Who would everyone else like to see brought in as another assistant? Teague out a contract, yes, that's going to speak for itself, I dare say. Morris will be elevated. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it, David? Because Morris has obviously done a super job with the players, the VFL players, like an unbelievable job. Selfishly, I kind of still want him involved in that program. Like maybe he can do what McRae did, how he was looking after the VFL, but also a mentor and a developmental coach at the senior level. I don't know. They've got to find a way to keep Steve Morris involved, obviously, first and foremost. But yeah, he's obviously putting his hand up to do a bigger role if he wants it. But then is it worth looking outside the club as well? Sean Grigg, it's not a bad shout, Tony. Do you bring back Sean Grigg? Adam Simpson, do you reckon you want to do it though, John? And the other interesting question is can it be conflicting bringing in a reasonably fresh senior coach at AFL level into a system where they're not the senior coach? Like, can that cause more issues, like similar to what we're already seeing? Shane Edwards, I think he was doing recruiting, wasn't he? Was it Adelaide? A lot of love to Steve Morrison here, which I'm really excited to see because he's been good. It'd be interesting to know what Sean Grigg's contract status is at Geelong. Is Matty Nice doing anything? Yeah, I don't know. But it's also I'm also never too sold on bringing back past players. I know that might sound a bit silly, but you look at the clubs in recent memory that have brought back past greats as albeit head coaches. Like you look at Buckley and Voss as the two prime examples, and how difficult it was and how much of a shitstorm and divide it created when it came time to letting them go. I just think that long term, that when it comes to the end of their contract side of things or the end of their tenure, I actually think it can do more harm than good. So that's why I'm kind of more of a fan of external people, and Rutten as well. I'm kind of more of a fan of external ones than Richmond players. As an assistant, it's fine. I was quick at the Suns. Apologies, I thought it was at the Cats. When did that happen? Was that with Dimmer, a Dimmer move as well? Yeah, Livingston's the other interesting one. Whether he stays on or not, obviously part of the Dimmer regime again. Like, if you're Adem Yze, you kind of want a full clean slate, don't you? As risky as that sounds, Barnes obviously, finishing up. Do you just go the full whack and just start again? Joel Selwood, that's an interesting call. I do not mind that. Carousella, I think we've been there, done that. Yeah, we're just a feeder club for the Suns, aren't we? In a lot of ways, Andrew. Yeah, you do need stability, but everyone's inadvertently gone off their own back anyway, haven't they, though, Julie? I mean, Peggy obviously was the end of her term. Gale's going to Tasmania. Barm, I suppose, was a club decision by the sounds of it. I desperately think Blair Hartley needs to stay. Would be one of the first things I would want to happen. But yeah, it's I think there's going to be a lot of changes to the club in the off season. So hopefully it all works there. But this is why, like even just in the chat tonight, we've seen a whole heap of names for assistant coaches. We've seen names for like footy directors and things like that. And this is why I don't think we can judge Yze too harshly this year. There is so much that has happened out of his control that it just wouldn't be fair to pass harsh judgment. So I've heard, Julie, you know what? I've heard nothing on the CEO, and I don't know whether to be alarmed about that or not. I mean, I don't know if it's something we need to know as supporters, like what the process is. I'm not sure. Is that the norm? I don't really know. But I've not really heard much about it. Has anyone got any thoughts on who that might be? Graham Wright should be the CEO. Pies and Hawks flags bring in success. What about Rant as a backline coach? Not a bad shout, Aaron. I mean, yeah, he was one of the best at it, wasn't he? Hartley's a must. Yeah, I agree, David. I like Hartley. I really do. CEO Christian says will be Mark Anderson or the two internal candidates. Yeah, Warren got no idea, mate. Not heard an absolute thing. So, like I said, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. It's a little bit different. Would love, yeah. Someone floated that a while ago, Cameron, and I wasn't sure if it was in jest or not. But Daniel Jackson is a super smart operator, and I don't know if being a CEO is something he wants to do. But he is very, very clever. I know he's at Adelaide at the moment. I have not seen the press conference. No, I haven't seen it. Should get Eddie a CEO? Well, I don't know about that. That'd ruffle a few feathers. Okay, what else have we got here? Nate Curvis going down. Big outs. We've got obviously the game against Collingwood coming up this week. Going to be a very interesting game against the Pies. Who thinks we're a genuine chance to win? Like the Pies have got their own injury woes. Not that this person's a superstar A grader by any stretch, but they've just lost Kruger as well, who's kind of been their backup forward and ruck while some players have been out. But it almost looks like a game that we might be able to win, which sounds odd because they obviously won the flag last year, but they have some serious injury issues as well. Nank's obviously out. Taranto comes back in, which is good. Now, I know a lot of people have mentioned the snack pack, Hayes. Is it Hayes Brown? But is he officially in concussion protocol RFC? Because I know a few people mentioned in the live call that he had his nose smashed in the VFL and didn't play a lot of the game. Is he actually officially a concussion protocol as well? That would be a bit shit. Christian pre-Nank injury thought we were a chance. That's a good shout. Nank's been obviously very pivotal to our side for a long time with the work he does. Oh, now this is a good point, Jones Racing. It would be great to officially end their season. And you bang on because this game for Collingwood is literally do or die for them. If they lose this game, it's lights out for them. They're not going to make the 8. So they're going to come out pretty fired up, no doubt. Which will make it very interesting. They didn't look great on the weekend. Oh, there we go. Pat Steinford's been given the task to find the CEO. Yeah, I agree with you, Dom, that without Nake, it's going to be an issue. So who comes into ruck? Given that Hayes Brown is probably, if he's in concussion protocol, he's not playing either, obviously. We obviously don't have Naismith at our disposal. So we're kind of looking at, well, let me have a look at the lineup. So we've either got Kaczynski doing some ruck work full-time, Bolter doing some ruck work full-time, Samson Ryan. So Samson Ryan's probably going to have to play number 1 ruck, which might not be the worst thing because he's actually a bit taller than what Nank is anyway. So giving him some full exposure there isn't necessarily the worst part of it. Vossen comes back as well. So if we're looking at ins and outs, you would say that Thompson Dow will make way for Taranto, I think would be one. Voston will come back in for... Look, I think someone like Caleb Smith or James Trezise is going to be unlucky to miss out, or a Steely Green. And it's so hard because you don't want any of those guys to miss out because they're young and we're trying to get games into them. I would personally try to keep Trezise in, but we do need Rioli back in. Is Graham going to be fit to come back in? Jeez, it's going to throw some spanners in the works. My goodness. I'm scrolling down. I've probably missed a heap of questions. Noah Bolt will be our ruckman and Pickett. Is Pickett due to come back in? I reckon Samson Ryan's going to do bulk of the ruck work. He's probably the main ruck, isn't he? With the backup being Kaczynski, because there was some whispers that Mason Cox might be coming back for the Pies this week as well, which makes things a little bit more interesting. Graham and Vossen were out due to weird injuries. I don't know what the injuries were, Cam, but yeah, that's how it went down apparently. Sonzi's probably the other one who might get dropped as well. That's a good call. Do we think is Dusty going to play? This is going to be the interesting one. Obviously, still had the back issue. Didn't play last week. I wasn't so shocked by Dusty not playing last week because of the travel factor as well. I'll be interested to see how this all plays out this week, though. So that's going to be interesting. Taranto should be back. Yep, so Taranto will be straight back in. Is Samson Ryan injured? Surely not. Where's Tom Lynch? Good question. Wasn't he still listed as 2 to 3 weeks? Velocity inclusion allows Bolter in the ruck. That's a good point. And I don't mind Bolter pinch hitting in the ruck. He's obviously got that explosiveness to burst away from the stoppage as well and win a clearance too. So that's always nice as well. Oh, here we go. Now, this is a good idea. Feel free, ladies and gentlemen, send through your okay, now hear me outs. We'll read a few out. So James Racing's kicked us off. Okay, now hear me out. If we ruck Miller, we can play Blight. I wouldn't be against seeing Blight coming back into the side. I thought he did okay, but I know he had 4 kicked on him by Tracy, but that I don't know. Part of me thinks that's a bit of a team defense issue as well. I'm with you, Anthony. This hamstring awareness thing for Lynch is a serious bit of awareness given it's been over a month. It's been crazy. Dusty had a bad back, happy to play golf. Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, I mean, obviously you need your back a little bit for golf, don't you? So I don't know too much about how true it all was, if he was seen, if it was speculation or what it was. But yeah, if his back's definitely cooked and he's playing golf, that's not great to hear, is it? I'd love to see Pickett. Is Pickett due back in, Bird? Is that what we're saying? Pickett's back in? Hear me out, JD says. Trade our future first and hope we don't suck next year. Or you're banking on us. I don't mind it. Peter Atkinson, hear me out. K-Mac will run the water for the Tigers the next 15 years. I like K-Mac. Maha, hear me out. Is Craig Bellamy out of contracts? Yeah, we were pumping him up on the live show, weren't we? Yeah, get Craig Bellamy in. Wouldn't be the worst idea. He's only 55 predictions. Yeah, we will get to predictions. Yeah, so if Morris Rioli Jr. was available this week, would everyone pick him? Now, the obvious issue is maybe the match fitness issue, and you don't want to re-injure someone who's got good speed, of course. But would people play him? Because, like I said before, I would really like to see Ryan Mansell and Pickett causing some big pressure up front. Yep, Pickett back in. Oh, there we go. Apparently golf's good for your back. I wouldn't know because I don't hit the ball all that often. One VFL game then in. Trevor would have him in. Yeah, it's interesting. Morris is sub or VFL. Cam says 100% Maurice Rioli Jr. in. Yes, I do take the risk. It's so hard because we're not obviously competing for a final spot, but yeah, what do you do? I picked Morris to be in the main training group. Has he for the past? See, I didn't know that, so that's good. He's been in the main training group for the last 2 weeks. We've set his return up for this game. Yeah, okay, interesting. Well, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Watching. Oh yeah, I didn't realize that, Eric. I thought he was still at bloody Geelong. So, what's everyone's tip, including margin for the Collingwood game? What are we thinking? The other interesting part of the question is, and don't shoot me down for saying this, but is there all? And this won't be a factor for the playing group. They will want to win this game 110%. But do you want to win the game? Obviously, there's the whole pick one factor on the line. If we win, we go above North Melbourne. Do you want to win? Is the interesting question too. Like I said, the players are going to 100% want to win. And it just feels like a game that the Pies could be right for the picking. And it's always nice to beat the Pies. Always nice. David's gone Tigers by 23. Barry says, perfect world would beat the Pies. Last win for the year, and we get pick number 1. I wouldn't mind that. Pies by 38. Tiger Pop. Jacko Tigers by 7. Collingwood by 15. Cameron doesn't want to win. I agree with Cameron that I don't want to win, but I also agree with Luana that the group needs the win. I think both things are correct and can live side by side, believe it or not. That's actually a good point as well, Jacko, that we'll probably lose to North Melbourne. Head says Pies by 50. Hart by Tigers by 12. No, you definitely... Or calling the draw. Julie's gone controversial. I don't mind it. If Pickett plays... Someone made a good point. Surely, if Pickett plays, or Jack Graham for that matter, surely we tag Nick Dacos. It's kind of shown that he's not handled it very well in recent times. Draws are perfect. Everyone's playing for the draw now. Tigers by 7. I reckon... Look, I think the Pies will probably get us by about 17 to 25 points. And that's only because... Their actual season fully hedges on this game. So they must win to keep their season alive, and they will come out all guns blazing. Again, I feel it might be similar to the Port Adelaide game where we might hang tough for 3 quarters, and then, they might kick away at the end. But our changes do strengthen our side. If we're bringing in Vlosten, Taranto, Graham, possibly Pickett, possibly Rowley Jr., that is a substantially much stronger side than we've had all year. But the name Curvis factor out hurts quite a lot too. So, it would have been nice to have Toby for this one, but it is what it is. Pickett takes Dacos, just have to do it. I'm with you, RFC, on that one. I wouldn't mind seeing that at all. Pies by 4 umpires, just be competitive. I kind of agree, Tiger Pop. I'm just not sure with the amount of imbalance we've got on our side with the youngsters. I don't know if we can put out a 4-quarter effort. But this game, with the experienced players coming back in, we need our experienced players to stand up and really make a good fist of it and lead these young guys forward. Like, so often it's the young kids doing all the heavy lifting, I feel. It needs to be role reversed. We need the older dudes to carry the load and let the young kids just do their thing. Yep, Will be Kano. Yep. And Samson Ryan gets a fair crack at it. Who has been rucking for Collingwood? Given that obviously players will be in and out, let's have a look at what they had for the Hawthorn game. So Darcy Cameron's rucking. So he's obviously back after the knee injury. Oh, no, that's McStay, isn't it? So Darcy Cameron rucking, and Kruger would have been relief rucking, but he's now out. So maybe they go in with one ruck and someone like Howe or McStay backup rucks. I don't know. That or that... what's his name? Mason Cox might be ready, so I'm not too sure. Not too sure what happens there. Big Footy barbecue outside Punt Road before the last game. It's not a bad idea. What's the matter with piss rain though, Jacko? That's actually not a bad idea at all. Not a bad idea. I will put some thought into that for sure. Cox will come in, we reckon. Yeah, that's no, Anthony, Toby Nankervis is in concussion protocol, so he has to miss this next game. He was subbed off against Port, and at the time it looked like it was a tactical one, which seemed a bit bizarre to be honest. But now it makes sense that he copped a bit of a knock, and he is out with concussion, as is Hayes Brown for the VFL. So the young kid that we could have had come in can no longer come in. We'll round it out with an Adze. Hear me out. Shorty, best on ground on the weekend. He's due and doesn't mind playing against the Pies. Oh, I don't mind it, Adze. Wouldn't mind seeing it. Play him in a different role and let's see what he's got. That's a good point. At least it's not Pendle's 400th. But that is a wrap for tonight, guys. Appreciate all the love and support. Thank you for joining me. I think we got through that okay as a one-man band, so that didn't go too bad. But yes, I appreciate everyone hanging around and for sending through comments and asking questions and things like that. It made it a little bit easier for me tonight, so much appreciated. Don't think there'll be a live call this week because I think a lot of people are obviously going to be at the game, which is good. But we will be back on Monday night, hopefully with a few more people than just me, and we'll see how we go. So hopefully Tiggs is back next week. We're just going to wait for his medication stuff to settle down. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I appreciate all the kind words, and to answer this last question from Anthony, I almost would split pick one as long as it was for 2 early first round picks. Like I wouldn't want it to be end of first round. You'd want to get like 5 and 9, for example. I think would be where I would say, yep, let's split and see how we go there. Yep. For anyone who's wanting to know, Elton John's wig is going very well. He actually was almost a sneaky chance to jump on a week or so ago. He's just very full on with work life stuff at the moment, but yeah, I still chat to him every now and then about footy stuff, and we'll hopefully have him on very, very soon. But yeah, I appreciate all the kind words, guys, and we will be back on Monday nights. Until next time, go Tigers.